Warning, content not suitable for children. Listener discretion advised, yo.
Hey, it's Gefilta from The Gefilta Show, and you are now listening to The Screaming Chewy Show.
Hey, you got this great idea for a podcast? You think it'll do very well? Maybe you're right, but you have no idea how to start it, right? Maybe you don't have access to a computer, maybe programs, it could be pretty complicated, right? Well, guess what? You don't have to. All you have to do is just go to anchor.fm/start. That's it. Or get the app. It'll do everything for you. You have all the tools, and guess what? It's free. Yeah, that's right. It's free, and you get paid for it. Boom. That's what I'm doing right now. Yeah. So go to anchor.fm/start, and boom, you're welcome. So I look forward to hearing your podcast. Please jump on in and join us. Join me in this vast community of podcasters. Great. Thanks. Screaming Chewy Show, your source of entertainment and overall fuckery. And it starts now. Hey everyone, welcome back to another exciting episode of Screaming Chewy Show. I'd like to welcome special guest author Jennifer Ann Gordon. Hey, how you doing today?
Hey, I'm good. How are you?
Pretty good. And did I pronounce your name right?
Yeah, I mean, I have probably the most basic white girl name possible. It's Jennifer Ann Gordon. I mean, it's pretty common, Jennifer Ann, but yeah, awesome. you pronounced it right.
I try really hard not to mess it up.
It's hard to mess up Jennifer, even though it's happened before. People have somehow messed it up. I'm like, oh, that's weird.
Yeah, that was the easiest name, and you messed it up.
I know. Really, my name's Jennifer. Everybody my age is named Jennifer. Everybody I went to high school with was named Jennifer.
And yeah, I find your book very interesting. Beautiful, frightening,
and silent.
Yes. And I just read the first sentence of the description, and I'm like, wow.
You know, that the first sentence of the description for your listeners who haven't read it, I think that if I remember correctly, it's like, Adam, a young alcoholic, slowly descends into madness. And usually if that's the type of book you're into, right then people are like, all right, I'm going to buy it.
Yeah, I was like,
I'll read anything. Yeah, I'll read or watch anything where somebody slowly descends into madness.
You're like, oh, this is going to be good for sure.
I know. I'm like, perfect. I don't need to know anything else. Oh, he's going mad slowly, even better.
There's some people out there, they're like, oh, I can relate to this.
I know. I feel like, especially right now with so many people being like locked in their houses for this vast amount of time, at least where I live. You do slowly feel like you're going mad.
I could totally see that too. I was reading that people are drinking a lot more nowadays since the whole COVID thing.
I've heard that, and I'm not gonna say I haven't been drinking more, but definitely the first few weeks of COVID, I think the alcohol consumption was a lot because we were in such shock. And it's gotten back down to normal. But the few times we've gone to the liquor store, it looks like Christmas in there. There's like 20 people in every line. People have like their carts absolutely filled with booze. And like, I'll go in and buy a couple bottles of wine, and the people in line are like, "You're buying it wrong. You need to buy more." And I'm like, I just kind of want my liver to survive this.
They're buying it like toilet paper.
Yeah, exactly. People are hoarding vodka and toilet paper right now.
The essentials.
The essentials. I know. Are we allowed to swear on your show?
Oh, hell yeah.
Okay. So literally, this is my favorite liquor store story about COVID. I was in line, and it was like the first week of lockdown, and there was this girl in front of me who had to be 21 at best. She looked really young, and her arms were filled with, I'm not even kidding you, like 30 of those tiny little like airplane size bottles of peppermint schnapps.
The little shooters.
Yeah, the little shooters. And she like just dumps them all on the counter, all these little bottles of peppermint schnapps. And she turns to like everybody in line, and she's just like, "Normally I drink beer, but it makes me shit and there's no toilet paper, so now I have to drink this." Like, sweetheart, you can do better than peppermint schnapps. And it was just like the saddest thing out of like, oh, this poor girl. But yeah, like, beer makes me shit and there's no toilet paper. That's COVID for you.
Oh, gotta love it, right?
I know, I did. I told everybody for like a week. They were just like, "How's your week going?" And I said, "The other day I was in the liquor store and this great thing happened." But yeah, it's been downhill ever since.
Oh, peppermint schnapps.
Peppermint schnapps. I just like seeing all those little bottles of peppermint schnapps made me want to throw up.
At least you got the travel size ones, right?
I know, but then I was like, she would probably have saved a lot more money if she just bought like the gallon jug of peppermint schnapps and just committed to drinking that.
Those are like $2-3 a piece.
I know. Like, you could tell she obviously wasn't like a connoisseur of the liquor store, hence the just buying all the little bottles, but it was adorable.
She said beer makes her shit.
Beer makes me shit. It was like so classy. And in New Hampshire, where I live, people are normally not like, you don't talk to people in stores. You just like mind your own business. And if somebody starts talking to you in a store, you just assume they probably have some sort of mental imbalance. So you just like avert your eyes because everybody here's a little bit reserved. So when that happened, like everybody in the line, you could see they were just like,
everybody's all uncomfortable.
I know. She said shit.
No eye contact.
I know. Don't look at the girl who said shit. What if she shits on the floor?
Oh, man.
I feel like we've gotten a far away from my horror novel right now.
Just a little bit, but it's good. It's good, you know. COVID stories.
You know. It's all related. I write horror for a reason.
And what inspired you to write this book? It seems pretty dark.
It is. It is very dark. So again, for your listeners, my book is called Beautiful, Frightening, and Silent, and it is about a man named Adam who is an alcoholic, and his wife and his son die in a car accident, and he feels responsible for it. And through his grief, like all of his childhood trauma gets reawakened, and he slowly descends into madness. And throughout this process, he hears an urban legend about an island off the coast of Maine the island itself is haunted, and anybody can go there, and if they want to connect with their loved ones bad enough, their ghost will appear to them.
Oh, shit.
So he goes to this island because he's so obsessed with connecting with his son, his little 4.5-year-old son who is now dead. So he goes to this island and he stays in this boarding house with this total asshole of a man named Anthony, and a beautiful manipulative ghost. And so Anthony and this nameless ghost sort of develop a strange menage a guilt of and they all like all their emotions bounce off each other, because the old man, who's a total asshole, is actually a murderer. He's 82 in the book, but 60 years before, he murdered that ghost that's in his house.
Holy shit.
So it's a story about grief and trauma and revenge, and how not being able to forgive yourself over time changes you. And so yeah, uplifting. It's, you know, real fun, real laugh out loud funny story.
Very positive.
You know, there is some positivity to it, because it is, you know, at the end of the day, it's a story about people hoping for forgiveness and hoping to forgive themselves. Maybe that happens, maybe it doesn't.
And maybe learning how to forgive himself.
Learning how to forgive yourself, and what happens if you do learn how to forgive yourself, but you just can't let it happen. So that's the gist of the story. And I guess what inspired me to write it, I live in New England, so that's, it's the state of New Hampshire. We're right next door to Maine, where every Stephen King story is pretty much set.
Oh, nice.
And I live about an hour away from where the Salem witch trials were. And,
wow, that's really cool.
So I think New England, as like a general area of the country, has this, has a vibe to it that doesn't exist in other parts of the country. Like New England has this really old-fashioned sensibility where if something bad happens, you don't talk about it. It's, you know, mired in Puritanism from long ago. So it's old, it's haunted, this whole area. And I think I just grew up being fascinated with things like that. And not gonna lie, mental illness runs in my family. So I often as a child had one of my relatives who had mental illness living in our house with us. So I got kind of accustomed to, what was that noise? Oh, that's just crazy so-and-so, she's in the attic. And that was kind of my life.
It was normal.
Yeah, so it's normal. So I've been always fascinated with the idea of ghosts, but also with the idea of what if it's not a ghost? What if it's mental illness? And also, what if people that you think have mental illness, it's not a mental illness? What if what they're seeing isn't a hallucination? What if it is a spirit? So I like stories that walk that fine line between, are they crazy? Are they haunted?
Wow, I love that idea. That's a scary thought, but that's very real. That's
yeah. So like I write horror, but it's gothic horror. So instead of monsters, it's the past still being alive in the present, and the people are the monsters, really, and the memories are the monsters, much like real life.
Yeah, exactly. I love how it makes you question reality. You know, like,
yes.
Maybe she's crazy. Maybe it is a ghost, like you were saying. That's a really good idea.
And there are parts in the book, if and when you read it, the whole thing, that I kind of play with the aspect of time. So something that might be happening in the present has also happened in the past, and how our memories are connected, and if we're destined for something this whole time. So, you know, there's a lot of different levels to the book, and yeah, the questioning of reality is a big one. It's a big concept.
Oh man, and I love how it's very realistic but very dark. You know,
it is very dark. I mean, listeners, I encourage you to buy the book because it's my book and I don't have a job right now. But I also just want everybody to know that it is a dark book. I've had a few people buy it and leave reviews on Amazon that say like, oh, this was really depressing, 2 stars. And I'm like, well, the back of the book says the guy's kid is dead. Like, that should tell you it's not supposed to be.
What did they expect? Fucking rainbows and sunshine?
I think, honestly, I had somebody email me and she said, I thought this was a paranormal romance. And I'm like, that's not a paranormal romance. No, there's nothing wrong with a paranormal romance, but I mean, my guy is not falling in love with this ghost. I mean, he might be obsessed with her, but she is a corpse. There is at no point in time that they forget that she is dead.
It's not the Corpse Bride or Twilight or something, right?
I know, it's not Twilight.
And that ghost corpse, is that the cover of the book? Is that her with the dress?
Yes, it is. And actually that's me on the cover, to be honest. That's a photo of me. But yes.
Nice.
Yeah.
Because I remember seeing like a dress, right? And I'm like,
yeah. So she, the ghost in my book, she got murdered the night before her wedding by her fiance. God. So she's trying on her dress for, like, this is not a spoiler. It happens early in the book. Like, it's like the first few pages. So she's trying on her wedding dress when he kills her. So that's how she always appears. She appears in her wedding dress and soaking wet because he tosses her body in the ocean to get rid of it.
And it was that old man that was her fiance?
Yes. Like way back in 1958, they were in love, but he's a sociopath.
So is she like haunting him? Is that why she's always following him or something?
Yeah. She's basically been haunting her murderer, her former lover, for 60 years.
Damn.
Just staying in the house with him, following him around, making his life miserable because he killed her and he deserves to be miserable.
Hell yeah.
Yeah. So that's like her existence. That's her complete existence until this young alcoholic kind of moves into that house to rent a room. And all of a sudden, I don't want to say she's distracted, but things from her own past sort of fall into play. And there's a question of whether the ghost of his son is in that house as well. So that plays a big part of it. Like, so it's all about human relationships and creepiness and revenge.
Wow, I could totally see this turn into a movie.
Yeah. When I was writing it, I have when I write, I actually sit there with my eyes closed and I picture it like a movie. And then I try to write what the movie is. So the way I write is very, very visual. Like I describe how things look a lot and how the light shines through a window. And so I've heard the book reads like a movie.
I love that.
Like I'm reading it and I just I can just see it. I can see it so well.
It's easy to get lost in that book when it's that detailed. It's almost like you're there.
Yeah. So I take that as a compliment. I would like it to be a movie someday.
Yeah, definitely.
Again, I have no job, so.
Fucking take it to Hollywood.
I know. So Hollywood, if you're listening, I would like Adam Driver to play the character Adam. I would like Brian Cox to play Anthony, and we can do. I do. And I can't remember the name of the actress that I want to play the ghost, but I do have her in my brain.
Because, I see some movies that I'm like, how the fuck did this turn into a movie? Like, this sucks.
It's so bad. So bad. Like, who in Hollywood is sitting there, like, behind a desk going, you know what? That sounds like a great idea for a movie. And it's something, absolutely ridiculous, like Scooby-Doo 9.
Right.
Like, we don't need a 9 Scooby-Doo movie.
Or Sharknado 5.
I know. And not to bash Sharknado, because I love a good bad movie, but come on, there's good ideas out there. There's so many. I'm lucky I have a lot of friends who are authors. You interviewed one of them, my friend Aaron Liebold, and
oh yeah, great guy,
and his book is phenomenal. When I read it, I was just like shaking inside. And it was just so powerful to me. I'm like, this should be a movie. It would be a really violent movie, but it should be a movie.
Yes, it definitely reminds me of like one of those like extreme revenge movies. Like, fuck yeah, where you root for that guy.
I know. Every time somebody asks me about about Aaron's book, I keep saying it's the Count of Monte Cristo meets Saw. Yeah. Because it's like a revenge tale with just like the most awful violence. And I'm not a violent person. I don't even usually like reading violence, but I loved reading that violence because I was just like, yes, do it. Kill everybody.
Yeah.
So shout out to Aaron's book, Genocide, everybody.
Good stuff. And it was another really dark book, but man, great. I mean, I love that kind of stuff, that revenge. I mean, really dark and realistic, a lot like your book, dark, realistic kind of situations that could happen,
Yeah, they really could. I think the key to good horror fiction and good dark fiction is that it really does have to be based in reality. Like, you have to get to the very core of that story and think, yeah, this could happen. Like, this exact thing could happen. In anyone, like, so my main character, Adam, he loses his wife and his child in like this freak car accident. That can happen. Mm-hmm. And, our human psyches are so delicate, really. There's only so much we can take before sometimes you break. And what happens if, you break mentally inside and there's nobody there to put you back together? I think we all take for granted that a lot of us have loved ones, we have friends, we have even coworkers who, if there was something that went completely wrong with us, there's somebody that would see you and say, dude, are you okay? Like, do you need help? Do you want to go get a beer? Do you need to talk? But if you have nobody and psychologically you break, what happens? So I think that's kind of the little acorn that grows into the tree in my book.
Yeah, and that's the scariest part, is that it could happen. And we take it for granted, like you were saying, that, a lot of us have people that support us and love us. But some people, they don't have nobody. And like you were saying, the person who's crazy and lost it, maybe they weren't always like that,
No, I know. Like, yes, there's chemical imbalances and you're born a certain way, but yeah, maybe it was just, you had one bad day too many and couldn't take it anymore. And that's kind of the thing I like to write about, when the fragile nature of our existence, how it can be, we can just be, popping along one day, having a great day, and then the world changes. And I feel like right now, because of COVID, we've all experienced that. We were all at work one day, and then the next day, I mean, where I live, then everything shut down. Like, mm-hmm. I keep telling people, my book was released at the very end of February of this year. And I was on vacation with my fiance in Spain at the very end of February. And then I came home and my book was released. And I had like 1 week of, yay, my book was released. And then all of a sudden my job, I'm a dance teacher. All of my students started canceling their lessons. And then a week later, our entire state shut down. And so that was March 16th was the last time I was like at work, and the last time my life was normal. And the week before, we didn't see it coming. 2 weeks before, I was in a foreign country and not even thinking anything about COVID.
Holy crap. You could have been stuck there.
I know. That's the crazy thing. Like, we were hearing people cough and we knew what COVID was. And I remember asking people, because we were in Spain, and I said, are people sick with COVID here? And they're like, no, we don't even have it here. And a week after we left Spain, their country shut down. Madrid, the city we were staying in, shut down completely a week after.
Fuck.
I know. I'm like, holy fuck. And my boss, who's a good friend of mine, shout out to my boss, Michelle, she was in New York City the same time that we were in Spain. And same thing, like, neither of us got sick, thank God, but like, you dodged something so major.
It's like a really bad movie.
It is. It's a bad version of the movie Contagion.
Oh, yes, you're right. I was actually watching that movie.
Oh, we watched it too a couple weeks ago.
And you know when they start doing martial law and the soldiers start coming in and all that?
Yeah.
And then
isn't that eerie right now though? Like,
yes, it's like becoming that, because the soldiers were patrolling the street and they're like, everyone stay in your homes, stay inside, you're safe in your homes, on the intercom or whatever.
Yeah.
And then like the next day on Facebook, I saw a fucking video of somebody in their front yard, and there's a cop patrolling the street, and he's fucking saying that on the loudspeaker. He's like, stay in your homes, you're safe. I'm like, what the fuck?
Yeah. And the other weird thing about that movie, Contagion, is it was made like 10, 15 years ago. And at the beginning, when the virus starts to break out in Contagion, the scientists are saying, we have to apply social distancing. Don't get within 6 feet of each other. And it's crazy because I never even thought of the word social distancing until COVID happened. And then I'm like, oh my gosh, this was like in a movie. It's just, that sounds like too eerily like what's happening in real life right now.
I'm Anthony,
I'm Sarah.
and we're the hosts of the A.C.T. podcast. That's right, the ACT podcast. You gotta put the periods in between.
I told you it was going to be too hard to find.
Don't worry, folks, it's not a show about acting.
Thank God.
It's a show about anything and everything.
Like how tiny your penis is.
Yep, we cover sex, religion, politics, day-to-day life, and...
And how tiny your penis is!
Yes, we got that.
Well, I just want to make sure people realize that we make fun of everything.
Of course we do.
We even have a blind Asian that comes in.
Yes, so if you want to have some fun and laugh at our ridiculous attempts of humor, come join us on the ACT podcast, the ACT podcast.
Available on all podcast platforms.
Yeah, you're right. And now after the COVID, then we get murder bees and now riots.
I know, the murder hornets. Damn the murder hornets.
Those didn't last long, though. I mean, that was kind of short, right?
Honestly, like the second people start rioting in the streets, you get less scared of bees. I'm more scared of. Oh, I shouldn't say political things, but I'm more scared of
you
cops.
can say it.
I'm more scared of cops than I am of bees now.
Yeah, same here, man. It's
I'm
scary.
like, won't lie. Murder hornets don't seem as scary. A murder hornet trapped in like my COVID mask seems scary though. So like if I went outside and I'm in my mask and a bee got stuck in there, that would be maybe the same amount of scary as a cop right now.
Yeah, like in Mexico, it's kind of happening too. It's not as bad, but I was watching in the news. I guess the Mexican cops, they killed a guy because he wasn't wearing a mask.
Oh
And
God!
so people are mad, and they actually lit a cop on fire.
Oh yikes! Okay, well I'm not condoning that.
I was like, what the fuck? That was random.
I feel like it would be really hard to light a person on fire. You'd have to really try.
Yeah,
You have to like really plan. I'm gonna light that person on fire because you need the gasoline or something, and probably somebody else to throw a lighter at him.
well, like
We shouldn't be talking about this.
I know, right? We're all planning it out. This is how
I
you
know.
light a cop on fire.
Well, so I was saying this to somebody the other day. I sometimes host a podcast for my publisher.
Oh,
And
nice.
I was talking to some horror writers, and I was saying, like, what is the worst and weirdest thing you've looked up on Google? Because it's like part of your research. Because like when you write dark fiction, there are things I had to look up just writing this, and even looking up about the book I'm writing now, that I would hate for the FBI to get my computer and say, why did you look up, can you slice somebody's lungs open with a teacup? It was like such a specifically weird thing I typed, and I'm like, oh gosh. And like, how many rocks can you stick in a person's stomach? Like,
The FBI is watching, like, this person is sick.
exactly. That was my fear. But then what's worse, like actually going to the dark web to look that up so nobody can follow you? But that's even worse.
I went too deep.
I went too deep. All I was trying to do was write a book. A book about a pretty ghost.
I think I just bought drugs. Yeah. I've looked up some pretty weird stuff too, and I can't remember what it was, but it's when you're just having conversations with your friends, and you're like, "Can this happen?" or "What about this?" So you're like, "Well, let's look it up."
I know. Let's look it up. Like, is it possible to burn somebody's ears off? Oh, yeah, it is. Like, can you survive without a nose? You can.
Like, I did an episode about I don't know if you heard last year, like in September, October, the Sinaloa cartel in Mexico, they took over a town and they actually fought the government and won. They took El Chapo's sons out of custody. The president handed them over.
Oh my gosh.
Like it was, they took over the whole town and just wreak havoc. And they're like, you better release El Chapo's son or we're going to kill everybody. And the president's like, here you go. And so for the cover of the episode, I just Google imaged cartel violence. And I'm like, oh no. Shit, what the
It's really, I have to be very careful when I accidentally have it, like Google clicked on Google Images when I type something gross in, like sticking rocks in somebody's lungs. Like accidentally I'm like, oh my gosh, why are there images of this?
Yeah.
Like I clearly probably was, I don't know, probably looking at some like serial killer's blog or something. But
it's like, it's right there right away. You're like, what the fuck?
I know. I'm like, no, I just was trying to look it up on Wikipedia.
Yeah,
I wanted an article about the murders, not the...
And I wasn't even thinking about it. I just looked up cartel violence and then bam, like there's fucking beheadings and people being skinned and like what the fuck? And I'm just sitting there watching and I'm like, why am I still looking at this? This is sick.
So do you still have family in Mexico?
Yeah. Yep. Yeah, I still got family in Mexico, and I haven't been to Mexico in a while. It's been like 2 years, but
Tucson's right on the border. Is it right on the border? It's close to the border.
I'm like 2 hours, an hour and a half maybe from the border.
That's like how far I am from Canada.
Damn, nice.
I'm a little further than that from Canada, but I'm in I could flee to Canada if I had to, probably.
Oh, you're ready.
But they wouldn't let us in, They wouldn't let us in. Our COVID is still too bad here. Canada's not letting us cross the border.
They're smart.
Yeah, they're smarter than we are. I mean, I've watched The Handmaid's Tale. I know what this is going to happen.
Hey, it's funny you mentioned that. Yesterday, a coworker was telling me about that show.
Have you seen it?
No, not yet.
Oh, it's going to ruin you. Maybe in a good way, maybe in a bad way. You're going to watch it and remember it was written a long time ago and go, what the fuck? This is what's happening now.
That's scary. It's like history repeats.
Yeah. My fiance and I have been counting time in Handmaid's Tale months. Like at the beginning of COVID, we were like, okay, I think we're 8 months from full Handmaid's Tale now. And then the other day he said, I feel like we're like 5 months from Handmaid's Tale. And one of the things that happens to the women in The Handmaid's Tale is some of them are sent to a whorehouse, some of them have to become baby breeders, some of them are maids, and some of them are wives. And my fiance said, I think we're only 5 months away from Handmaid's Tale, so get your slutty outfits together to get shipped off to the Jezebels, because that's the whorehouse. And I'm like, thank you for saying that I would be. Like, that's, I guess, in the end of times, that's maybe where I would prefer to be. Better that than, I'd be a bad maid. I can't cook, so I wouldn't want to be a baby breeder or a wife. So
that'd be horrible. Like, don't they use them as like surrogate mothers or something?
Yeah. That's like the worst one you can be. That or like when you're sent to the colonies, which I think means you just like dig up radioactive waste until all of your teeth fall out.
Holy shit. That's
so
pretty horrible.
Jezebels seems like the most glamorous of the jobs in our Handmaid's Tale future.
Wow.
This is my sixth sense of humor where I'm like, I guess if I had to choose.
Hey, just planning ahead, right?
Yeah.
I'll just prepare myself in case it happens.
Just in case it happens. I have my suitcase full of slutty outfits. I can just go.
Dress up as a cop, the stripper cop.
Oh, I don't have a stripper cop outfit, but I do have like slutty prison inmate outfit.
Nice.
I did burlesque for a while, so I do have a lot of like slutty straitjacket, slutty.
Oh, that's pretty cool. Is that like the when you like dance on stage?
Yeah. It's so burlesque is the art of the tease, and usually it means like strip tease. So yeah, like.
Oh, that's crazy.
Yeah. So hence why I have a lot of the quote unquote slutty outfits.
Got a whole suitcase of them.
I have a whole storage unit of them.
Damn.
They couldn't fit in the house anymore, so we had to. And so if I ever like die in an accident and somebody like looks in our storage unit, they're just going to be mortified at like the amount of ridiculous clothing that's in there and an absurd amount of top hats.
It's all that storage wars. They open the locker.
I know. Open it up and they're like, what? Whose locker was this? They won't want to touch anything. It's all like covered in glitter and feathers.
Oh man, that glitter gets everywhere.
I know. We used to work at a theater to do our burlesque shows, and the owners of the theater would like email me months and months after our show and be like, I'm still picking up your glitter.
Damn.
And we would have to like clean that place when we were done, and they would like inspect it and say, okay, you picked up all the glitter, but you can never pick up all the glitter. It like multiplies in the corner.
That's why men can't hide when they go to a strip club.
I know, you can't.
What's that glitter on your face? Oh, it was a birthday party.
I know. Yeah, you definitely can't.
And so have you written any other books?
I am. I'm writing a book right now. It is. I'm about 80,000 words in, so that's about 250 pages.
Holy shit!
And, I know. It's a historical novel. It takes place in the 1873. It's still a horror novel, and it's about how the mentally ill were treated in the Victorian era.
Oh man, that sounds interesting as fuck.
Not good. Yeah. So my main character in that book, she has given birth to a baby, and the baby died right away, and her husband believes she's not grieving properly, so he starts to basically just drug her and keep her sedated because he finds out that she can't have kids anymore and he really just needs a new wife. So he basically like gaslights her into thinking that she's completely crazy until he sends her away.
Fuck. And in those days it didn't take much for them to take women in, right? To the insane asylums?
Yeah, they could do anything they wanted, really. There's a list that I kind of look at a lot when I'm writing, and it's like the 100 reasons why women were sent to mental institutions in the Victorian era. And it's everything from reading books to having terrible menstrual cramps, to liking sex too much, to not liking sex enough, to being kicked in the head with a horse, you know?
Whoa. Or if she wanted to be independent.
Yeah, she wants to be independent. She wanted to like walk outside by herself.
Like,
she wanted to wear pants. Yeah, you want a job? Did you just say you didn't want to make dinner? To the asylum with you.
Yeah, wasn't there like a mass hysteria about that or something?
Yeah. So the book's about that, and then there's another character who he is a priest who has lost his faith. And so again, that's like reason enough to be sent away. But as the story unfolds, you realize that he has had schizophrenia since he was a child, but nobody knows really what that is. They just think he has like weird spells. And again,
possessed.
It's yeah, basically. So yeah, I'm writing that right now. I'm hoping very much I can get my first draft of that book done by the end of June. And it will be out late summer, and that one will be called From Daylight to Madness.
Nice.
Yeah. So that's
Definitely
what I'm
looking forward
working
for
on.
that too.
Yeah, it's a good one. It's good. I love my first book. I love this book. This one's harder to write because it's historical, so I have to keep looking things up. Like this time, boring things like, were there Adirondack chairs in 1873? And when did they start using starch in laundry? Like things I just didn't know. So now I know a lot of boring things about the 1800s, but but I wanted to make it, realistic, because I know historians and people who are into historical fiction would read it and say, she said that there was a window screen, and window screens weren't very common until 1890, and it's 1873.
There's always people like that, right? They're always
I
going
know.
to dissect it and pick at it.
So hence now my Google history is incredibly boring, of just like facts about the 1800s.
When did they start lobotomy?
That would at least be more interesting than like things about laundry. And I got a genealogist and a historian to help me with a little bit of the research, because I wanted to figure out, like, especially in New England, like what the workers were like in 1873, like for like I don't want to say the menial jobs, but like the lower jobs, the maids, the people who work in bakeries, the people that work in laundries, like figure out who they were, and mainly in New England it was the Irish had those jobs, young Irish girls pulled out of like poorhouses and things like that. They brought to like work as maids.
Oh yeah, wasn't there like a slave trade for the Irish?
Yeah, pretty much, because they were not well respected. They came to this country, and they came to Boston, and they were forced to live kind of on the outskirts of town, and people didn't want them getting jobs. Same thing with the Italians too. So there's all of this kind of subtext, because it's 10 years in the book. It's 10 years after the Civil War, but not much has changed. Like much like we are now, like the country is scarred by racial tension and unrest, but they don't really talk about it. They just it's just like kind of that cloud that hangs over the air and over the characters.
Like everybody's aware of it, but nobody wants to talk about it.
Nobody wants to talk about it. That's the New England way. Everybody's like, we are aware of the problem, but we are ignoring it.
Like the Salem witch trials over there.
Yeah.
Wow. And your style, I love it. I love that goth kind of feel.
Yeah.
Old school.
Yeah. I'm definitely still an old school goth, like pale skin, combat boots, still rocking that look.
Yeah, that's fucking awesome. And let me guess, you like metal?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, nice.
I do. What's weird is, because I'm a dance teacher, I don't listen to a ton of music for fun anymore. For fun is around in air quotes. Now I listen to a lot of there's a style called dark ambient, which is like, it's less musical and it's more just sounds, like metal clanging against metal, chainsaws, water dripping, screams, howling. To me, it sounds like what a haunted house would sound like if it could make a noise.
That's badass.
Yeah. Look it up on YouTube. It's called Dark Ambient, and I'll email you my favorite dark ambient artist.
Awesome, for sure.
Yeah,
I've never heard of that.
It's really, it's a very small subsect of music that was kind of birthed out of dark electronic music, like out of like dubstep and stuff like that. So, but it doesn't really. It's, some people listen to it and they're like, this is not music, but if you like metal and like dark stuff, you'll see the artistry in this.
It definitely sounds very interesting. And like you were saying about the dubstepy kind of like dark. Have you heard of Combi Christ?
No.
Yeah, if you like techno, they're like techno-ish, but like kind of really heavy. I don't know exactly how to explain it, but it sounds like you might like them.
I'm going to warn you, the wind has just kicked up here really bad. So if the electricity goes off and we get cut off, that's why. I just wanted to let you know.
Or it's a ghost.
Or it's a ghost. Is it the electricity or is it a ghost? But yeah, I like darker music. Even music that's not like metal or heavy. I like it when the lyrics are dark, kind of sad.
Yeah, for sure.
Or just like weird. I like punk music, and I like a lot of like Irish punk music because I lyrically I like it. I like it when people scream and they're angry about society and about working class issues. And
yeah, I love that that punk, the style, how it's really fast and it gets you pumped, you know.
Yes.
Makes you want to overthrow the government, you know.
I feel like, again, I'm just going to get a little political. It doesn't take much for me to want to overthrow the government these days.
Right?
I don't want to get you in trouble or your show in trouble.
Oh, no, it's okay. I get political sometimes too, you know. Yeah. It's just real life, you know.
Yeah, you know, it's the times we live in. I think it's okay to be angry, righteously angry.
Yeah, and I'm actually part of some punk rock groups on Facebook because sometimes I'll feature some music from local punk bands. Like
nice.
I actually made an episode with Roderick Edwards, the author. Shout out Rod, and he wrote a book called How to Overthrow a Government. So we made an episode about that, and I featured punk music because I thought punk would go perfect with that.
Yes.
And it's funny because before that I would use metal, but then after that I'm like, this has got to be punk for this episode.
Mm-hmm.
and so in those punk groups that I'm in, a lot of those people are actually going to the riots and going to the protests, and they're all sharing these pictures of burning police cars and tagged up walls and just like anarchy. And I'm like, holy shit. This looks like a fucking album cover, but this is real life.
Yeah. I mean, the thing is most of the protests are incredibly peaceful. And I think they're becoming more peaceful. The first few days, it was bad, and it still is getting bad some places, but you know, it's a voice that needs to be heard.
Mm-hmm.
And sometimes the only way a voice is heard is, kind of through destruction, or the loudest voice will be heard. So
some violence. It's like, do you hear me now?
Yeah. And again, I don't condone violence, but I understand it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's a lot of those pictures you see now of the riots. I'm like, damn, it looks like the fucking Purge movie.
I shouldn't have laughed, but yeah.
It's like this year's like the Purge election year, you know.
Yeah. Gosh. Oh, the wind is really bad here.
But yeah, it's been great talking to you.
It's been great talking to you. This was really fun.
Yeah, for sure. And where can people get your books?
So my book, Beautiful, Frightening, and Silent, is available on Amazon.com. It's available on Kindle for $2.99 and free if you have Kindle Unlimited. But you can also buy the paperback on Amazon.com. If you don't want to support big business and you would rather support a small publishing house, you can also buy my book through my publisher directly, which is breakingrulespublishing.com. And again, the name of the book is Beautiful, Frightening, and Silent. I also have a collection of my artwork that's available on Amazon and through my publisher as well. That's called Victoriana. So if you look up Jennifer Ann Gordon, or just go to my website, jenniferannGordon.com, and that's Ann with an E, you can get links to my books, my artwork, lots of fun stuff.
Love your style too, and that same style kind of shows in your artwork too. Very, very good stuff.
Thank you so much.
And when's your next book coming out again?
I'm hoping for late August or sometime in August.
Awesome.
I just really have to get my act together to get it finished.
Hey, man, I mean, it's hard times, you know. We understand.
I know. I mean, what with all the drinking?
Descending into madness.
Yeah, but with all my slowly descending into madness, it's very difficult to write another book.
And like I said, I love your style and keep up the great work.
Thank you. It was so good talking to you.
Yeah, great talking to you. And hey, stay safe and you have a great day.
You too. You too. Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.
Hey everyone, thanks for tuning in. And if you'd like to support this podcast, you can find me at anchor.fm/screamingchewy@gmail.com. There'll be 3 options for a monthly subscription. First one, I believe, starts at $1 a month, yo. Yeah, $1 a month. Yeah, and if you don't want to, that's cool. You can follow me on Facebook and YouTube, Screaming Chewy Show, for some memes, some more videos, full episodes, and behind the scenes kind of deal, right? You can follow me on Twitter, Screaming Chewy. Yeah, not Screaming Chewy Show. I should probably change it. But it's just Screaming Chewy. And thanks for listening. Peace.